With the recent return of Stephen Curry from injury, the Warriors got both a roster and emotional boost, capturing a clutch win against the tanking Kings. With 3 centers out, the Dubs signed Santa Cruz Warrior Charles Bassey to a 10-day contract, and he made an immediate impact by grabbing rebounds, protecting the rim, and finishing plays. I want to break down his impressive showing and how he might have just played himself into a Warriors contract, so let's get to it. If you don't know, Charles Bassey has been bouncing around the league for a while, playing for multiple NBA teams, but he can still clearly perform as a potential center or a backup big in this league. He has spent time in the Santa Cruz G League Warriors and clearly knows the system up to a certain point. Here he gets the ball on an inbound and is looking for the Warriors' go-to split action. As Seth Curry goes to the first screen, the secondary action becomes a dribble handoff. And because Seth is a shooter, with the Kings fighting over and Reno playing the roll man a bit more, Reno only commits at the very last second when Seth is on the baseline about to shoot a layup. But look at Bassey pointing up in the sky asking for the alley-oop. I would assume since Seth is on the smaller side, he just wasn't going to throw it over, but instead sides his nice bounce pass through the defense. Bassey is an explosive and athletic big and seems to have great touch around the rim. Look at this nice left-hand finish over a shot block attempt. He was also a former top 20 ESPN top 100 high school basketball players in 2018, but just seems like he never really developed a well-rounded NBA type of game. As Steph is being doubled at the 3-point line, there's a 4-on-3 advantage on the weak side. You have to make yourself available for the pass. GP2 runs into open space and the Kings get a hand on the initial pass and almost gets a steal. But because we know Payne has great hands and is quick enough to gather the loose ball, now look at him attacking with a strong left hand and forcing Sacramento into rotations. At the dunker spot, Bassey points to the sky again, asking for the alley-oop. As McDermott rotates the weak side low man, Malik Monk just isn't going to do anything as the next rotation. Bassey gets a wide open alley-oop and that's a great finish. We all know Steve Kerr has a reputation or something against rolling traditional bigs in the Warriors system, but if he can play a role like prime Andrew Bogut, he's going to have his contract locked up sooner rather than later. Look at this high pick and roll with Melton, and Bassey slips the screen early. Now Melton has an advantage and can attack the roll man in a drop coverage. Cardwell has to come rotate eventually, and look at Bassey signaling once more for the alley-oop. Even though the pass was a little off, the great athleticism and touch to gather the ball and still lay it cleanly off the glass. Having a rim roller and finisher is such a breath of fresh air these days. Looking back, I can't believe we had Yurtsevin signed for a few weeks. He was pretty trash and made minimal impact. Here's another pick and roll example. Bassey sets the screen for Melton to attack Cardwell, playing a high show for some reason. Bassey then rolls to the screen early. Now there's a 3-on-2 advantage on the weak side. He catches the ball right in the middle of the paint with McDermott coming from the weak side to rotate. Leons is just not a finishing threat on the baseline here, so Bassey keeps the ball up high and just puts in a nice floater. I'm super impressed by that touch around the rim. That's something we did not even see from TJD. This whole sequence might have been the most impactful play of the night. On a semi-fast break, the Warriors get an open 3-pointer by Pat Spencer. Look at Bassey sprinting in with no box out from the Kings, and first gets the offensive rebound and almost gets the putback. The Warriors keep the possession alive as Pat drives the ball into the key at will and goes into his patented mid-range fadeaway that was absolutely on last night in the first half. Even though he misses again, the Kings don't box Bassey out once more and is able to use 2 hands and grab another offensive rebound into a kickout. Golden State then resets the offense, but he just immediately runs for another high pick and roll with Melton, where Achua comes up in the show coverage and Plowden's fighting over the screen. Bassey rolls to the rim, and I just love this consistent point to the sky, giving the guard in the pick and roll situation a clear target to throw right at the rim. Bassey makes himself available in open space, then finishes the play after multiple second chance opportunities. Fantastic sequence. I want you guys to focus on Bassey in this rim protecting highlight and the way he moves around the court. As the Kings get a high pick and roll, Bassey first comes up ready to help on the perimeter. Carter rejects the screen and gets to the middle of the paint. Bassey then switches onto him and completely cuts him off, dissuading the drive and forcing the kick out. This allows Seth to recover and then switch again on this handoff to Plowden. Bassey is a little off position right here trying to help, but is able to recover the Reno on the dunker spot. Not only does he absorb that initial first bump very well to push Reno away from the rim and settle for a hook shot instead, but he explodes again off the second jump and is able to block the shot and most importantly, gather the defensive rebound. What a great defensive possession by the center here. Let's see another one. As Achua comes for the pick, Draymond immediately traps McDermott, making him uncomfortable to try and get the ball out of his hands. Now Achua has a 4-on-3 advantage and drives directly to the paint. You can see on the weak side, Cardwell is running to the rim, probably asking for an alley-oop. Bassey comes to rotate as the low man and gets in a defensive stance, rises up and forces Achua to attempt an uncomfortable left-handed layup and gets absolutely rejected right at the rim. Again, most importantly, Bassey recovers the defensive rebound. That's 2 incredible blocks in a row. These days, the Warriors desperately need depth at the center position, but especially someone who can consistently hustle and grab offensive rebounds on the younger side. On this split action at the top of the key, GP2 slips early and gets Killian Hayes on the high side for an open cut to the rim. Cardwell rotates as a low man to help, and look at Bassey not standing in the corner and sprinting to the key as well. Even though GP2 probably should have finished this attempt, Bassey can now come from the weak side and grab the offensive rebound. He keeps the ball high, look at those fundamentals, and another nice teardrop over the shot block for a high quality second chance opportunity. I'm loving this guy's hustle. Sacramento came back to cut the deficit in the fourth quarter, but the Warriors cleaned it up by getting high quality shots and some tanking techniques by the Kings. Draymond gets the ball in the post and the Warriors go to their split action again. The Kings are so worried about Steph Curry that 2 guys almost go to him, but eventually Cardwell switches. This gives Bassey the opportunity to be physical with Achua, who is late on the switch, and cut to the rim with force. Nice bounce pass and trust by Draymond Green to the big man, and Bassey keeps it simple by not putting the ball down for another dribble and jumping off 2 feet for another 6-foot floater. I mean, this guy's looking like Jokic with his touch around the rim. Let's sign this guy ASAP. There you guys have it. Charles Bassey might not be a long-term answer at center, but he showed that he can come in, play hard, rebound, protect the rim, and just do his job within the Warriors system. He seems to make the right reads, he's very active, and gives you a legit lob threat and second chance opportunities, things this team has been missing. I'm not going to overreact to a Kings game, but I'm hoping the Warriors sign this guy to a contract since he's a low-risk depth piece at the center spot, and he's showing he can help. Now on to the Lakers, so if you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.